Hey friends, thanks for joining me. It is already time for the November Fragrance Awards. Like, where did November go? Is it over there? Is it over there? Is it under the furniture right there? Like, what happened to November? I feel like it just whipped by super quick. Now, if you happen to be in the United States and celebrated Thanksgiving this past week, which is kind of weird for me to say because I'm actually filming this video the Sunday before Thanksgiving so that I can have it out to you on today, the last day of November. I want to know what you ate. Are you a turkey person or did you eat something else? We decided to forego the turkey this year and do steaks for the family. There will have been 9 people that came through this house and ate me out of house and home probably by the time that you watch this. And I'm really excited. I'm actually going to start cooking some of the pieces today. Like if you make a good cornbread dressing, for example, you know that making the cornbread a few days ahead of time is actually a good idea. And then putting in the rest of the ingredients the day before or the day of. So anyway, a lot has happened the week before you watch this. Do you watch the Thanksgiving Day parade, the Macy's parade? I do. That's like a tradition for our family. We turned that on. I actually marched in the Thanksgiving Day parade when I was a kid and was in a marching band in New York City. Lots and lots of fun. How did I get off on that tangent? Let's talk about these fragrances. I'm going to share with you many of the fragrances that I have worn over the past month. Not all. I can't fit them all into this video. If you have watched my tray videos where I populate a tray of fragrances, not for the month, but like for the next 4, 6, maybe 8 weeks even, I've worn most of those plus some additional ones. And if you're new to my channel, these are absolutely fake award categories that I pulled right off of the top of my head just for our perfume entertainment. The first category is always the best for the season. So yes, November, fall. We've had a fabulous fall here in Virginia with beautiful foliage. We had a chance to go out to the mountains. If you go to my other channel, Essential Veronica, I've got some stories over there about our trip out to the mountains. Would welcome you to join us on that channel if you like just chatty videos. Anyway, this fragrance that I'm going to share with you is new to the collection and is probably one, it could have been in the biggest surprise too, because I really was not expecting it to be nearly as fabulous as it is. And so appropriate for the season. This is from the brand called Ledda, founded by Stephanie Ledda, who is a YouTuber. And this is called 20 Bourbon Brulee. It is so dang good for this time of year. It is super warm, cozy. It has a thickness to it and a depth that I think is really just lovely. When I first sprayed this out, I thought it was okay. And then I did some more sprays and then a full day wear and then an evening wear. And I've worn it a few times now, as you can see. And I think it is fabulous. It's gotten better and better as some air has gone into the chamber. The main notes are a bourbon vanilla, which always to me is like almost like a syrupy vanilla. If you have tried real pure vanilla that you bake with, there's a certain sort of complexity and depth to that fragrance that you can't get, for example, in an imitation vanilla. Like an imitation vanilla, which I have used too, will always have a sort of synthetic scent to it for me in comparison to the deeper, more syrupy, richer, thicker, denser actual vanilla that you bake with. So this is bourbon vanilla, which is a type of vanilla. There's a booziness in the fragrance from whiskey. There's some slight woodiness in the base. There's cedar. I don't think there's sandalwood in the fragrance. Let me double check the note structure super quickly here. No, but there's cedar and amberwood. There's white musk, and then there's also caramel. I can't tell you that I pick up an actual caramel independently as a note in the fragrance. There's also coconut milk, but for me, I imagine that the vanilla, the caramel, and the coconut milk all together form this sort of thick, sweet accord that feels very creamy and very fall desserty to me. I feel like the smell from this fragrance is very much like the taste that you have in your mouth when you dip into brulee dessert, like a creme brulee dessert. You know, you cut through the top of it, which is the sugar that has been lit on fire, and you get into the creamy part. When you put that in your mouth, it gives you just this creamy, delicious, very sort of rich taste, rich texture. The way that tastes and the smell that you imagine from it, actually it does have a smell to it, is a lot like what it smells like in here with some added booze and a touch of woodiness in the base. And I think it's great. I enjoyed wearing this every time that I've worn it. I feel like I'm probably going to end up going through this bottle a little faster than I would have hoped and may need to re-up, but it's so worth it. These bottles, by the way, are under $100. This is, if I'm not mistaken, a 1.7 ounce. And I want to say it's like $98. And then the website runs sale. In fact, when I'm filming this video, I think they're having a 20% off sale. And so what a great time to stock up on a bunch from the collection. This isn't sponsored. I wish it was. I wish she sent out PR and I wish I was on her PR list. But I am happy to spend my own dollars on these fragrances because I think that they are fabulous. I've really enjoyed the line. And this one in particular, I think is one of her best ones yet. I think 22 Oris is probably her first one, is probably still at the top of my list, but this is competing for first place too. So best for the season. Next category is the best everyday scent. And this is purely based on the season and something that I think is so easy to wear any occasion, all day long. I mean, from the time that you wake up, shower, get your nice pajamas on if you're hanging around the house, right? Like this is such a cozy scent, which is why I think about like really sort of cozy flannel pajamas that you put on after you shower, your nice fresh pajamas. Don't be putting on your stinky pajamas. Put your fresh pajamas on straight out of the wash. They're still warm and cozy. Anyway, spray this on, hang around the house, watch. Are you watching holiday movies? Do you like the Hallmark Channel? I didn't used to. I always thought that it was cheesy, but as I get older, I like all of those cheesy kind of movies. So I love watching now Christmas Hallmark movies, and they make me cry. It's like the adult version of like Little House on the Prairie or something in movie form, or like the Peanut Special, Snoopy and Friends, anything like that for the holidays. You can wear this to work. It's called Amber Vanilla. Let me tell you that. I'm yapping about what you can wear it to and haven't told you what it is. Amber Vanilla from the Seven Virtues. It is so comforting. It is like a hug in a bottle, elevated with a little bit of floral to it. So there's vanilla and amber, as the name would imply. And there's a beautiful, soft sandalwood musky base that is really sort of edited back. It's not a fragrance that is like defined by the woodiness and the muskiness. It's like those are supporting players to the amber and the vanilla tones in this fragrance. There's also carnation in the fragrance, which you see on the sort of cover art there. And I think it's a nice, soft carnation that lends this sort of happy, soft, floral additional note. If you sniff this without knowing that it had carnation in it, you likely would not be able to pick up a floral aspect. But rather than just being like a woody, musky vanilla, it adds some interest and femininity to the fragrance to have this nice floral note. Anyway, this is super easy going. It's a nice sort of skin scent, close to the skin, and feels just cozy. It's like a great sweater weather fragrance, sort of cocooning, very relaxing, a little bit meditative even, and slightly therapeutic. This also reminds me, like, if you live in a snowy region, if you're somewhere in like Scandinavia where there's snow many days of the year and you're looking out the window admiring the drifts of snow as they're piling up in a nice, soft, quiet snowfall, and you're inside in your pajamas and maybe you've got a faux fur blanket wrapped around you and you're nice and cozy, this might be the kind of scent that you're wearing. In the category of special occasion is one of the most special fragrances that I have, and one that I nearly gave up on when I first smelled it because it's such a powerhouse. It can really sort of knock you aback if you're not ready for the beautiful, real big powerhouse roar kind of fragrance that this can be. I mean, this can be it is a beast mode scent in every sense of the word, except that I don't find it obnoxious unless you overspray. And this is from Tiziana Terenzi. It is HALE BOPP from the Comet line. And I love these bottles in this collection. If you're not familiar with them, I believe that these are hand-blown bottles, glass bottles, obviously. And then the plaque that's on it and the top, they're plated in some kind of actual real gold. That really doesn't matter, but it does add to the cost of the retail bottle. You can find these very inexpensive though, as compared to the retail price. I mean, expensive and inexpensive is relative on Joma Shop. They usually have this whole line on sale at some point, you know. Anyway, this is everything that I wish that Shalimar was. And so if you know about my Shalimar journey, my mom wore Shalimar when I was a kid for many, many years. And actually a number of my aunts and various matriarch type of women in my family wore Shalimar for many years. It's a really strong smell. There's something a little bit dirty and a little animalic in Shalimar that makes it tough for me to wear, even though I think it is a gorgeous fragrance. I'm talking about like the original Eau de Parfum Shalimar. And in fact, my mom had the dabber version, like that's the old school version, right? The original formulation. Beautiful fragrance. This reminds me of like almost like a modernized, updated Shalimar. Some people have also compared this to Le Lion from Chanel. And I recently had the opportunity to try that fragrance. Thank you, Giselle at GB Fragrances, for sponsoring my decants of that. And while I thought that fragrance was beautiful as well, I don't find this that similar to Le Lion. There are some parts of it that have similarities. This one I would say is a bit more youthful, while Le Lion and Shalimar have this real strong maturity to them. This is a very mature fragrance too, but those are even sort of more mature, more matronly, even more beast mode and powerful to me than this one. What makes this maybe a little bit less on the mature side than those fragrances, that this one has lemon notes, it has cinnamon that are apparent in it. So lemon is a bright, happy, vibrant citrus note that I feel like kind of uplifts any fragrance that it's usually in, typically, right? The majority of the fragrance experience, though, is there's some spiciness, there's a strong amber and vanilla base to this, and there's a little bit of woodiness to it. So think strong amber, strong, beautiful, thick, comforting vanilla, some woody touches in the base, a little bit of spice from cinnamon. There's also nutmeg, and then a lemon note. And the lemon is at the top and in the, in the mid somewhat, and then it dries down into that beautiful amber, vanilla, slightly woody base, and it is glorious. It sticks to you forever, ever, forever, ever, ever, ever. And it's one of those scents, when you smell it and you get accustomed to what you're smelling, feels so unbelievably regal and elevated and elegant, without overwhelming, so long as you don't spray crazy. 3-4 sprays of this will take you through the entire day and evening, and you're going to smell super fabulous. So think of like a modernized, more current day, updated version of Shalimar that's a lot more wearable, is the way that I would describe this fragrance, without maybe like the leathery, animalic tones and the powderiness of that fragrance. Maybe there's a couple of touches of powder, like a sprinkle in this, but I wouldn't describe it in any way as a powdery fragrance. And I don't even know if powder's a note in this, but that was another part of Shalimar that was maybe a little bit challenging in combination with the animalic notes in there. So there you go. HALE BOPP, absolutely fantastic, particularly in cold weather for special occasions. The next category is the sexiest, and I think a number of you will probably be surprised by my selection, but there's no denying, of all of the ones that I wore in the month of November, that Black Orchid. Yes, I said Tom Ford's Black Orchid, like the original, not any of the flankers. And this is an eau de parfum concentration. Black Orchid. And I have several of the flankers of this fragrance. One day I just had a wild hair and I was like, it's you, Tom. It's me and you today. Come on down from the shelves. Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. This is a hard fragrance to describe, and one that is definitely not for beginners. I'm very used to this fragrance. I've worn it for years. I have no problems with it. But when I first tried it, mind you, I was coming off of a decade of wearing mostly citrusy types of fragrances, like clean smelling citrus fragrance with the occasional, old school bomb in there, like a Dior Dune every once in a while. But mostly I was like a citrus gal. And then I decided to try this one day and thought, wow, what is that? And why does anybody want to smell like that? And continued to sniff it, got more used to it. And then all of a sudden, understood the allure, mysteriousness, masterpiece, magnificence that is Black Orchid. I know some of y'all hate it. That's cool. More for the rest of us that do like Black Orchid and are fans. Of all the fragrances that I wore this month, this one, if you like compliments, it got me the most compliments out in public from strangers. I went and ran errands in my Black Orchidness. And I had at least 3 people, random people from across age groups, comment that they really, really liked my fragrance. And I'm talking about like oh, that's really, really nice type of deal. This is dark. This is mysterious smelling. This is difficult to describe. Many people describe it as having an earthy element. And I would agree. But every time that I smell this and every time that I wear it, there's like a different nuance of it that shines through. It's known to have a truffle note. So if you know what truffle smells like we cook with truffles and we have truffle oil in the house. Love truffle oil in like rice dishes and on top of potatoes. Oh, if you haven't gotten down with the truffle oil, get yourself real genuine truffle oil and just sprinkle it on something. Like you can even put it on steak at the end of the cooking process, not during. I mean, I guess you could cook with it during, but anyway, sprinkle on top at the end. If you cook French fries in your house, truffle fries with like Italian seasoning, the best. Anyway, truffle oil or truffles in general have this it's almost like a chocolatey and mushroomy smell together. And some people might say, why would I want to smell like a mushroom? But there's a certain kind of mushroom smell that's actually pretty appealing when combined with everything else. There's lots of florals in here. Some people pick up a lot of ylang-ylang. Some people pick up other kinds of notes. Some people pick up an orchid note. There's patchouli. There's woodiness. It does have an earthy, floral, vampiness to it, but it's also super elegant and different. No one else is going to smell like you when you have black orchid on. You're going to smell unique. I actually saw an interview with Tom Ford where Tom Ford's a good looking dude, by the way. That's a good looking man. That's a handsome man. Tom Ford is a handsome man. Anyway, when he was talking about black orchid and his inspiration, and he wanted it to represent him, his avant-gardeness, his how different he feels, right? And be unique. And it so is. There is nothing else in my collection that comes close to the unique smell of black orchid. There's something damp about it. It's like damp woods and mushroomy. I love the mushroom aspects. It's chocolatey. Oh, it's good all around, and it's different and unique. So if you're intimidated, but you're curious, get yourself a decant and see if it works for you. The key is, friends, you have to spray it on and let it sit on your skin. Let it play with your skin chemistry and come back to sniffing it in about 30 minutes to an hour. And then let me know what you think. Black orchid, mega, mega sexy. The image that I would associate with this, 5-inch red Louboutins, slim black cigarette pants, slim fit. This lady is wearing a black blazer with nothing underneath. She has on a nice bra. You can see the top of the bra. You know, it's not all the way out there, but she's edgy and she's going out for the night, and she's got a beautiful choker on with the black blazer, little lacy bra showing just a little bit that makes you peep and go, she's kind of sexy. Hair is in place. Makeup is flawless. Red lip, black orchid. This one comes to slay. So in the category of biggest surprise, I purchased this fragrance in the last So Avant-Garde sale where we do the 30% off discount. I took a chance on this. I had never tried it before, and I don't know how to say the name of this fragrance. I am so sorry, but I'm going to try. This is from Nishane, and I think it's ZENNE. That's what I'm going to go with. It's probably like ZENNE, something, ZENNE. If you happen to know, like for a fact, not just guessing, do let us know in the comments. So these are extrait de parfums, I think all of the Nishane fragrances. And what surprised me is when I got it in the mail, I sniffed it and thought, ooh, that's a nice purchase. Put it on the shelf, didn't think twice about it. Had a wild hair one day and pulled this one off. First of all, the bottle color is just so nice. I tried to give y'all a little bit of fall flair today with this top. This is like a chocolate top. I hope it's showing up chocolate on the screen. But a little sidebar, let's talk about makeup for 2 seconds. I'm wearing the Natasha Denona Lila palette, which has these purpley tones. I thought I was going for some of the neutral colors, but they actually have purple undertones, which is nice. And then I have a Stila, like a wet glitter eyeshadow, just to give a little bit of zhuzh and spark right there. I think it's called Kitten, something like that. And I have a Pat McGrath lip. What color are you? The color 1995. So I'm giving y'all some neutral / chocolate fall. I hope it's coming up on screen. I bring that up to say that the color of this bottle reminds me about the feeling that I was going for today. So the fragrance could also have been the sexiest. It could also have been the most special occasion. This, like, why is no one talking about this beautiful little number? It's got lots of fruity notes in it. I would call it like a fruity vanilla with some florals in it. And the fruity notes include grapefruit. So there's a slight sort of sour tartness at the top alongside some other sweet fruit notes. It's just like the nicest juxtaposition of notes here. There are some floral notes in the fragrance. It's rose and gardenia, and then a beautiful sandalwood vanilla musky base. I think this is fan-friggin-tastic. It projected like crazy. It lasted so long. It is a really complex fragrance. Not complex like Tom Ford, I don't understand you, Black Orchid fragrance. This is understandable, but complex. Very evening in nature, even though it has some of those tart and fun, flirty, sweet fruit notes in it as well. The other notes make this very much like a dinner or evening appropriate fragrance. I found it super, super duper womanly, but has enough edge and masculinity to it that I think if a gentleman wore this, it would probably smell fantastic on him, like super alluring. I've said this in other videos. Gentlemen, if you're watching, don't sleep on the feminine fragrances. They smell fantastic on men and are some of the sexiest to smell on men. I know men are used to wearing these like heavy cologne-esque, like 1980s, 1990s, Nautica types and all of that, polo, etc. Yeah, that's fine. But let me tell you, I have smelled a number of men bold enough to wear more feminine leaning fragrances, especially something like this that has a lot of bass, has a lot of body, yaddy, yaddy, and junk in its trunk. And they just smell amazing on male chemistry. So don't sleep. If you're a gentleman and you're daring, check this out. Ladies, this is fantastic. Get your nose on this absolute beauty. Zenne or Zenna, Zenny, help me out with the pronunciation. Jeez. Anyway, beautiful. Biggest surprise. The next category is the best bottle design. And I don't know if this is actually the best bottle because it in some ways is super cool and in other ways it's really gaudy. But there's no denying that I kept staring at it and enjoying looking at it, even if it is gaudy. And it is Caspian Cherry from Electimuss. So I talked about this in a video, I think it was called like a haul video. And here's what the thumbnail for that looked like if you want to see a more official review. But these are like the heaviest. I swear this weighs at least 486 pounds. It is really thick and heavy. And there's something about the emblem on the bottle that reminds me of the movie, the Hunger Games. You know, I serve as a tribute or whatever, the Hunger Games, that's what it looks like. So this bottle is orange, although the fragrance features a cherry note. So this is a complex fragrance that I'm not sure if I love. I think I like it. And so I've worn this a few times now. I would say maybe 2.5 times, like 2 full wears and then a half day of kind of just sniffing and trying it. And I'm still trying to understand what I think about it. It's interesting though and intriguing, and it makes me keep coming back to sniff. I will say that those of you that are looking at the notes for this fragrance and thinking that it's going to be girly and gourmand, you're going to be mistaken. The more I've worn this, the more I would say this is unisex, leaning a little bit masculine, but it has some feminine touches. So feminine touches, and I need to look at the notes, excuse me, include definitely a black cherry note. And so cherry tends to be a more sort of girly note overall. This is a kind of sweet, sticky, syrupy, darker cherry type of deal in this fragrance than some of the lighter, flirtier, girlier types of cherry notes that you might get in other kinds of fragrances like body sprays and so forth. There's a little bit of honey in the fragrance. I tend to think of honey as a more feminine leaning note, and tonka bean and white chocolate. However, there is a lot of dark chocolate in the fragrance as well, and some coffee, and it's a bitter dark coffee. It's not like a sweetened coffee like you get maybe in Amore Cafe from Mancera. That is almost like a sugared, milky coffee and beautiful vanilla, right? Gorgeous fragrance, love that. This one has a bitterness to it. It's like a dark, bitter coffee. You know, people that take their coffee black, no sugar. This will give you some hints of black coffee with that syrupy cherry sprinkled in. There's a decent dose of patchouli. When I first tried it a couple of times at the beginning, I didn't pick up a whole lot. I would say I pick up more. It's not dominant. It's not an overwhelming amount of patchouli, but it definitely has a little bit of a green earthy touch from the patchouli. And then there's sandalwood in the base. And so it's an interesting fragrance. I enjoyed wearing it. I do feel like this took me maybe into the 6-ish hour mark, somewhere in there. And then it sort of started to fade after that and was a little bit difficult to detect. But that's neither here nor there. The bottle is why it's in this category. It is heavy as heck, and it's got the imprinting on the top of the cap. All of those are pretty nice touches. So this is a really sort of unique bottle design. And then in the category of worst bottle is a fragrance that I finished and I threw the bottle away. So I'm going to have to show you the picture of it. It's LAIT de BISCUIT from Chaubaud. This is such a lovely little fragrance. It smells like graham crackers and vanilla and lots of beautiful fluffy things. It is a very fleeting fragrance. I don't know that I will repurchase it. I had a 1-ounce bottle and I flew through that. And it's really great for bedtime and that sort of thing when you just want a nice scent bubble, but you're going to go to sleep so you don't care how you smell at midnight, right? Lovely little number, worth purchasing if you are a gourmand lover and like the idea of a graham cracker combined with a vanilla smell and maybe even like a sugar cookie. It's a really, really delightful, nicely done gourmand, which without sticking power. That's the only thing. And the reason that it's in the worst bottle category is because I think the caps that are on these are pretty hideous. It has like this sort of lucite or acrylic type of plastic clear cap, and it has a hole in it. And you put it down over the atomizer into the hole. And it's just a little goofy for what the fragrance is. The label on it is a little simple. I guess that's okay. And it's such a nice little number with such a simple little bottle and an ugly cap. So that's it. That's why it's in the worst bottle category. My favorite blind buy, and I regret not putting this in that haul video. I don't know why. Like, I buy all these fragrances and then forget that they're around and don't put them into the haul video. My apologies. But it is a new fragrance to the collection. This is Istanbul from Unique E or Unique A Luxury. So, by the way, these bottles are quite nice as well. There's a lot of detail that has gone into these caps, even on the inside. Like, when you open it, there's the little emblem on the inside as well, matching there. Maybe that's overkill, but you know, that's nicely done. These come in a beautiful presentation. So if packaging matters to you, these are nicely done. They came out on the market rather expensive, I want to say, and they were in the upper twos, maybe somewhere in the $300 range. I tried a bunch of these when they first became popular in FragCom, and I enjoyed a lot of them. I thought they were a little beastly, like really super strong. Ended up seeing this where? On Joma Shop at discount, and took a chance and picked this one up. I knew that I liked it. And this smells like Love Don't Be Shy, the Kilian one, on steroids. Plain and simple. If you like Kilian, Princess, if you like Love Don't Be Shy, if you like Oriana, you will likely enjoy this as well, except that this is very strong and concentrated and super beast mode. So again, this is one that's, you know, you should spray lightly if you don't want to fill up an entire room or offend anyone. If you want to offend people and keep them away, go on and spray this 40, 50 times. No one will come near you. This is a nuclear fragrance. And it smells super marshmallowy, sweet. There's a little touch of citrus to keep it from being maybe too cloying, vanilla. And I think there's some florals as well. So it smells like a sexy marshmallow. It smells like a marshmallow that's ready to go out on the dance floor and have the time of her life. So good. And it's really strong, really sweet. Little bit of powder, little powdery touches, but I wouldn't say it's a powdery fragrance, but it has powdery touches to it. So mostly like a marshmallow with some citrus tones just lightly there to keep it from being too sweet. Well, who am I kidding? This is a very sweet fragrance. The vanilla base, and I forget what else is in here, but those are what stand out to me. Really strong, super duper performer. I smelled this morning until nighttime when I went to sleep. It just kept going and going, Energizer Bunny style, Istanbul. In the category of not a safe blind buy, but one that if you are adventurous and like what I'm about to describe, you won't find anything else on the market like this. I don't think. I've not smelled anything quite like this. I've smelled other fragrances that have like facets of this, but not it itself in particular. This is Choco Violette from Mancera, one that I wasn't sure that I loved when I first tried it, wore it, you know, it was the kind of thing where I was like, smelling wafts of myself during the day. This was a while back that I first tried it and kept thinking, what smells so dang good? And it ended up being me. And so this is one of those that smells wonderful in the air to other people, dissipated. If you smell it on your, you know, skin and you go in, it might be a little strange to you. The main notes are, first of all, this has a powdery, dry aspect to it. So what I mean by that is when I first spray it, it gives me the feeling in the back of my throat like my throat is dry. Like it makes me choke a little bit when I first spray it. And then when that part of the experience is done, and that's quick, you get this sort of dark, dry chocolate powder smell. It's not a creamy chocolate, like milk chocolate, or the way chocolate tastes in your mouth as it's melting with the heat of your mouth. It's like a dry, dusty chocolate, and it's quite nice, juxtaposed against the violet in the fragrance. So violet tends to be this sort of cold, purpley smelling note that is kind of linear, aloof, distant, detached. Like violet doesn't want to be your friend. It doesn't want to get to know you and give you a hug. It wants to be standoffish. Violet is a very introverted note alongside the dusty chocolate. And then there's vanilla and musk in the base. And so it's a very elegant wearing experience. Overall, super duper sophisticated scent, unique, complicated. I would call this fragrance like elegant emo. Do you know what emo means? Emo type of music. You know, it's got like this pained expression on its face, an avant-garde, haute couture kind of outfit on, and it's aloof in the distance, doesn't want to be bothered by you, but you want to get in close and get to know it. This is beautiful, 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 beautiful. Can be hard to wear for some, and one that I would say you should definitely sample first. But listen, if you like the idea of dry chocolate and a really aloof violet together, it's a must try. Really a very different fragrance. Not safe though. All right, friends. And then the next category is the overhyped fragrance. And I say this lightly because this is staying in my collection and I actually like it a lot. It's not overhyped in Fragcom. It's overhyped in the reviews on the site where I purchased it, which is Sephora. And this is Merit Retrospect. So for those of you that aren't familiar, Merit is a makeup brand. I've got a number of their lipsticks and other face products and so forth. And they launched this first fragrance in this cutie pie little bottle. I joked around in the haul video and said that it looks like a Smurf, the hat of a Smurf. And it still does, but it's also super cute and delightful in hand. This is a 1 ounce for $90, which is pretty pricey, I think, for a 1 ounce fragrance. I will say this almost went in the biggest surprise category because the day that I wore it, I really enjoyed how I smelled. And I said in the haul video that this is a nice fragrance, but the reason that I think that it is overhyped is because of people's reviews, not because the fragrance isn't nice. It is actually super duper nice and easy wearing. And I'll talk about this in a second, but the reviews touted this as a vintage smelling, old school glamour, Hollywood beauty, so unique, so different. Isn't it great that there's a hair in my eye? And I'm going to have a fight with it because it will not leave me in peace. It's like a gnat buzzing in your ear. Get the hell out of here. People talked about this being such a unique fragrance. There's the hair again. I'm going to just pull it out of my hair because we don't have time for things that bother us, do we? Hair, you are gone. So, and so I was expecting this really unique experience. Like I couldn't wait to get my nose on it. And I sniffed it. It's a little bit difficult to open. Like I have to twist the cap and pull it off. And thought, we've smelled this before. We've smelled this. This is a nice, almost sweet, lipsticky iris fragrance. It is super delightful. There's a nice sort of juicy, sweet pear note, particularly at the top and moving into the mid of the experience, the heart of the experience. And then the pear note kind of takes a back seat and you get this really delightful, almost powdery iris. Yeah, it's got like, if you're wondering, yes, I did actually just spray a used packet of Equal as my blotter. That just happened. Don't judge me. It's almost like a waxy, powdery iris. It's really, really delightful, actually. It is a little old school smelling. It does have a little bit of vintage flair. It does play very nicely on the skin. It warms up well. And it actually had super lasting power. 8 hours later, I was still smelling this on me. So I give the fragrance a thumbs up and I give all those reviews that just overdid it and killed the experience a thumbs down. I would say this is a super nice fragrance. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it probably a 7-ish in terms of how lovely it is, 7.5 maybe even. And I think the little tiny bottle, even though it's Smurf-esque and goofy, it's super duper cute. Great for travel, you know, a little novel thing to travel with. And I like that it has this little thumbprint or fingerprint or whatever there to hold it. Very cute. In the category of hidden gem, I've had this channel for about 4 years. I've heard a few people talk about this, particularly back in December of 2020 when I started my channel. Around that time, like summer of 2020 to winter of 2021, I heard a few people mentioning this, and I don't think I've heard a lot about it since then. This is Elie Saab, and it's the Le Parfum version in what looks to be a bottle that's shaped after like it has diamond-esque facets on it. The fragrance is heavy on the orange blossom and honey, and I think there are other florals, but those are the two dominant ones for me, maybe even a little bit musky. It is a very grown up, mature fragrance. This smells like your older auntie's hug when, you know, you were short enough to like be pulled into her bosom when she hugged you so tight when she saw you at the family reunion and you were choking like in her sprays of adult perfume that was just like maybe overwhelming to you as a kid. This is that. It is honey. It is deeply floral and it's very, very feminine, very thick, quite cloying if you spray too much, one that you'd want to spray lightly. Great for any occasion where you wanted to show up as your more mature feminine self. It's one of those old school, heavier, maybe cloying fragrances. Like you were in the mood for that. This is a good one for that. And it's got great lasting power too. Let's keep going. So I've started to do this category called Worth Hunting Down. I really don't have anything in this month that isn't, you know, pretty decently available in the market. So just for this video, I'm going to do the best combo of the month. I don't do a whole lot of layering, friends. I don't do a whole lot of mixing and matching. I did a while back, and I'm at a point where I just kind of want the fragrance to do what it needs to do on its own. On occasion, though, we get a combo that's worth mentioning. There are, I think, a number of people at this time that have tried this combo. The person that first put me onto it, I believe, is a viewer, Tati Perez. Hey girl, hey. And she said, try Gris Charnel with Blanche BETE. This is a really nice combo. I got more Blanche BETE when I tried these out than Gris Charnel, but I love the sandalwood figgy texture. The fig here is so polite and well-mannered. I'm not a huge fan of fig in fragrances, but it's like it's the kind of fig that you get fresh off the tree. A fig that smells a little bit more coconutty than it does deeply fruity. We have a fig bush that's now becoming a fig forest. That thing is so huge. If I remember to take a picture of it, I will put it into the video here so you can see. I call it Cousin It, because it started off as like this little tiny bush and it has just grown and grown and grown and it gets out of control. So the figs right now are in full, what do you call it? Full bloom? They're ready to be harvested, whatever the term is. They're fully mature. Fully matured. And there are a lot of them. I mean, there's got to be, I don't know, over 100 figs out there waiting to get picked. Now the deer eat half of them, but you know, anyway, how did I get off on that tangent? Blanche BETE is known for its lactonic, to me it's creamy rather than milky. Right? A lot of people pick up the milkiness, but for me it's a creamy, slightly powdery, coconutty tuberose smelling fragrance. And I love that it was complemented with the beautiful sandalwood in Gris Charnel, along with the coconutty, figgy nature of this and the slight bit of tea that you get from this. Just a beautiful combo. This adds a little bit of spice. I think the note in here that spice is a cardamom. Smells like it. Great combo. Really unique and really interesting. So now we're going to do the low, the medium, and the high fragrances for the month. I'm actually going to cut my list down a little bit because this video is redonkulously long at this point, and I know many of y'all are clicking out by this time. Forgive me, y'all know I'm long-winded. In the low category is from Narciso Rodriguez, and it's the newer Musk Nude. First of all, let's have a minute for the bottle. This beautiful nudie, pinky, peachy bottle is just so girly and so pretty. Got it on sale. Where? At Joma's shop. I sure did. And I think the smell is so fabulous. This immediately reminded me of Amouage Love Delight. That same kind of, actually it's like a combination of things. A little bit of Love Delight, a little bit actually of guidance from Amouage, like in the lightest way possible, because this is a very light fragrance. And it also has this sort of soapy thing going on. It's very clean, it's very fresh, it's very feminine. It's floral, certainly musky, as Narciso Rodriguez fragrances are. And I thought the smell was fabulous. The reason it's in the low category is that it was so unbelievably fleeting. Did I get 30 minutes out of this even? I don't know. I remember just spraying and going, where's the fragrance? What happened to it? About 30 minutes or so in. Let me know if you've had a different experience with this one. The scent itself is fabulous. The scent itself, I'd probably give it an 8.5 or 9. Really beautiful, floral, fresh, soapy, light, slightly powdery. So good. But where did it go? It's like, where's the beef? Yeah, so that's why it's in the lowest. Super fleeting, beautiful. For a similar reason, in the middle category is a fragrance that I talked about in, I think it was Vanillas That Deserve the Hype. And so I won't go on and on, but it's Mind Games Queening. Absolutely one of the most stunning, I don't use that word often, so you know I mean it when I say it, vanilla fragrances, like, of all time. It's beautiful. It's easy to run through this. It reminds me a lot of Hufflepuff from House of Sillage. And there's another fragrance that's escaping my mind that has this sort of powdery, vanilla, coconutty touch to it. And it's so beautiful. It's a creamy, delightful, super highly feminine, sweet vanilla. And not sweet in a gourmand, desserty, I want to eat your neck direction. It's subtly feminine, like this, like a cloud of femininity around you. And it lasts okay, but it's not the longest lasting, particularly for this price point. This is over $300. I think these fragrances are $375 or something like that, or maybe even more. That's a lot of money for a fragrance that sort of fades. It's in the 4 to 6 hour range. But it is worth it in the sense that it's one of the prettiest vanilla fragrances and mesmerizing when you put it on. It's simply intoxicating. The creaminess, the powderiness, the vanilla, that sort of sweet coconutty background. And it's like a perfumey coconut, not a literal summertime, I've got suntan lotion on kind of coconut. No. It is like the coconut smell when you peel open a can of cream of coconut when you get ready to use it for desserts or for holiday drinks and so forth, that kind of thick creaminess that you get from that coconut with vanilla. And I'm forgetting a note. I want to say there's orris in the fragrance. Yes, it tells you right on the plaque. Where's my mind? Orris. And so orris is the root of the iris plant, and it's got this sort of thick powderiness to it. This is beautiful, but I wish it lasted a little longer, which is why it's in the middle category. And then this was also in my middle category, Jury from Cajal. And I'll just say super quickly, it's only because, oh my God, this is so good, but it's heavy, heavy on the honey note. And I think for some people, this may come across a little animalic on them. I don't have that problem. For me, it stays like a thick golden honey, and it has a few touches of maybe even like a soapiness to it. It's floral. I want to say, is it rose? I'm only saying that because it looks like rose on the top. I don't remember the exact florals. If I remember, I'll put it up on the screen here. But it's primarily like a honey, floral, slightly musky, woody fragrance. And it can be a little overwhelming at times, which is why it's in the middle category, but it's quite beautiful, particularly as it gets colder. And let's do this for the top category. I'll share with you what's in the top and maybe talk about a couple of them that don't get a lot of sunshine on YouTube or that I haven't talked about in a while. So I wore Chinatown, and you know this is one of my, or is my top fave from Bond number 9. Love this floral, spicy, sandalwood, exotic amazingness. We have all heard about the beauty that is Altair, a spicy vanilla fragrance. Thick, beautiful, amazing. You've heard about it. Top for the month, Alien Goddess Intense. This is a nice, creamy, beautiful coconut. It is a little bit of a summertime coconut, but it's creamy and it's beautiful. A glorious jasmine and an amazing vanilla and some other maybe woody tones in the base. But the three main players are the coconut, the jasmine, and the vanilla. And the trio of those in this fragrance is one of the sexiest. This is a sexy, sexy fragrance. Beautiful. And it's got that Mugler DNA, the alien Mugler DNA without having the grapey tones. For me, this doesn't smell grapey at all like some people get in the original Alien. This is, even though people wear it in the summertime and it was marketed as a summertime perfume, I think it's fabulous for fall and in the winter as well because it has a heaviness and a density to it that I think are appropriate for cold weather. Fantastic. My scent of the day I had to put in the top 5. It is Mon Guerlain Intense. And it's a lot like the EDP. Well, I have the EDP and the EDT. So it's a lot like those. And those have some similarities and slight differences. The main thing about this one is it's amped up on the vanilla. It's a thick vanilla in the fragrance and a little bit more mature for a date night, like a little sultrier for date night evening wear than the other two are that are maybe more daytime-ish in nature. The lavender here I find to be more subtle than maybe in the other two fragrances. Well, actually, no, that's not true. It's there just like it is in the others, but the vanilla is amped up in this fragrance, which is nice. So it's like, it's vanilla, it's a little lavendery, it has some woody touches. This one also has a little bit of a noticeable iris note that I don't hear a lot of people mention. And so it does give it that like lipsticky, perfumey touch. Very much a perfume counter smell with lavender and heavy on the vanilla. And if you like the sort of regular Mon Guerlain, either the EDT or the EDP, and you enjoy a thicker, heavier vanilla, definitely give this one a try. And then in the final spot, but definitely not least, and maybe one of the best fragrances in my entire collection, Fracas, which I always want to say Fracas. Don't judge. Leave me alone. Let me say the damn S, okay? Fracas. By Robert Piguet. I've had this for a long time. Y'all. Let me see. I've been wearing this probably since my early 30s, which is really daring because I was also in that 30s decade, mostly wearing citruses. But on occasion, I would get crazy and wear this into work and always got compliments on it. This is largely, when I smell it, it just takes me away. It's like a Calgon take me away, but to like a feminine kingdom. Heavy on the tuberose. I describe this as being like a very, very buttery, creamy tuberose. When you think about butter almost being rancid, like it's not there yet, but it's so thick and creamy that it might turn rancid, you know, within a week or so. And it has this sort of smell to it. That is a little bit of what I get in here. It's this very heady, narcotic smelling almost tuberose. It's so thick and it's creamy and it's wonderful. It's got a little bit of peach and I believe there's sandalwood in the base. Let me look that up because I haven't looked up the notes in a minute for this one, but this is one of the sexiest, most intoxicating fragrances that I have ever smelled. Yes, there's musk and sandalwood and amber and some other woody notes. This is so, so sexy. One of the best and pretty long lasting. If you don't like tuberose, skip this. It is like quintessential tuberose, very, very heady, like super duper white floral. I don't find this indolic though. I don't find this to smell stinky in any way. It doesn't smell like decaying flowers. It just smells very intoxicating to me. Beautiful, beautiful, almost like a sweetened white floral, slightly peachy tones, as I mentioned. Amazingness. One of my top tuberose fragrances. So that, friends, brings me to the end of this massively mega long November Fragrance Awards. Yay! Thank you for hanging with me for this long. If you've been here the entire time and you made it to the end, drop a turkey down in the comments. Even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving and you're not American, drop a turkey down in the comments. Don't forget to tell me what you ate for Thanksgiving that you liked the most if you did celebrate. Take care, friends. See you in the next video.